and close shut the jaws of Oblivion.
Kvatch is lost. The Amulet of Kings is in the hands of the enemy. The only hope left is a handful of blades, a disgraced noble, and the bastard son of Uriel. Not the greatest odds, really. Damn it. I thought I could just put the past behind me. That I could sell the amulet and use the money to disappear and start over with what's left of my life. But I can't. The words of my father, the words of Uriel, they keep ringing in my ears. Don't let the Empire fall, my father said.
You alone must stand against the Prince of Destruction and his mortal servants.
Good morning, Solia. I hope you slept well. You all sleep on the floor. Haha, yes. Well, we live very simple lives here in the temple. I'm sure naking back does wonders for your swordsmanship. As I've grown older, I too have grown to loathe the living situations here, I must admit. At least it's safe, I hope. How's Martin doing? He's settling inside. In the Great Hall. He's taking it all surprisingly well, though you can see he has little confidence in himself to become emperor. He seems like a good man. Indeed. He's like his father. I know about your history, by the way. I looked into you the moment you left for Kvatch. I'm not surprised. So, what's your verdict? Sending me back to prison? Hardly. Tharn was a master of manipulation. He had almost the entire Empire fooled into thinking he was Uriel. Besides, the way I see it, the Emperor officially pardoned you when he gave you the amulet. So, you're happy, trusting the safety of the last septum, the one who had fought to remove the septums from power? I'm not very happy about much of anything these days. But Solia, I remember your father. He was always speaking to the importance of the Empire, and I know that that's why you thought you were doing what was right when you supported Tharn. But now the only hope of the Empire surviving is Martin. I trust you, just as Martin trusts you. Just as Uriel trusted you. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Oblivion. This is Future Heliax here, once more. I know we've been struggling here, but we had some audio issues going on with this video. If you recall, if you watched the Dragon Age series, there was a second half of a Dragon Age episode where the audio got super staticky, and I'm guessing this video is recorded immediately after that one. I don't remember, but that was the case for this entire video, and it got even worse in the second half of this video. So yeah, I'm re-recording the audio.
You have proven yourself a loyal servant of the Empire, as worthy as any of the Blades to stand by Martin's side during this crisis. As the Grand Master of the Blades, I would be honored to accept you into our order. Will you join us?
Wow, what would my duties be as member of the Blades? Because this is a big decision.
The Blades are sworn to the service of the Emperor as the mortal representative of the dragon blood of the divine Talos.
I honestly don't know what to say. I mean, it's crazy to think that I spent so much time in prison because I was declared a traitor against the Septum Throne. And now here I am, being offered to join the protectors of the last septum. I mean, Joffrey, I'm honored. Of course, I'll accept. I will join the Blades, and hopefully I can help lead Martin along a path that would be good for the Empire. I'll do my best, of course. I'll join.
It is my honor to welcome you into our ranks as a Knight Sister of the Blades.
Thank you. Oh wow, and I got an Akaviri katana. Hell yeah. Thank you. Tell me about the temple.
This place was built by Raymond Cyrodiil's Akaviri Dragon Guard at the founding of the Second Empire. Since then, it has served the Blades as headquarters, fortress, and sanctuary. We can protect Martin here until you recover the Amulet of Kings.
Okay. Tell me about the Blades.
This fortress is well supplied with arms and armor. Use what you need from the armory in the East Wing.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Okay, and what are we gonna do about the amulet?
You're right. We must try to recover the amulet before the enemy takes it out of our reach. You should go back to the Imperial City. Boris may have learned something about the assassins. You'll find Boris at Luther Broad's boarding house in the Elven Gardens district of the Imperial City.
All right, so Boris is still out there. Okay, be good to see him again. Anything else?
The Amulet of Kings is the key to everything now. Once we have it back, Martin can use it to light the dragonfires in the Temple of the One and reseal the barriers between Oblivion and our world.
That'll be good.
Give my warm regards to Boris. Tell him he should not blame himself for the Emperor's death. He did well to send you to me.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was pretty crazy of him to just trust me, because he didn't hear the Emperor say that.
Welcome aboard, ma'am. It'll be an honor to serve with you. What can I do for you, ma'am?
You're nice. Tell me about this place.
If you need armor, weapons, or just a place to sleep, the barracks in the West Wing is available to any of us.
In the temple?
Cloud Ruler is many things. Temple, fortress, safe haven. But it's also my home. I'll gladly die defending these walls if it comes to it.
Hopefully it doesn't. All right. Thanks, Roland.
Stay safe.
All right. Well, they seem to be accepting me pretty well. Here's the Akaviri katana. It is a long sword, and it's probably pretty good. Oh yeah, look at that blade. That's a nice blade. Okay. Yeah, and everybody's
What can I
accepting
do for
me.
you, ma'am?
Hey, Captain, tell me about the temple.
Aye, she's a beauty, isn't she?
She really is.
It's hard not to admire the stonework. That's some real craftsmanship, that is.
All right, thank you.
May your sword always strike true.
Yeah, Cloud Rule Temple is one of the cooler looking places.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, Caroline.
What can I do for you, ma'am?
Tell me about
There's
the
no
temple.
place more secure in all of Cyrodiil. I wish we could have gotten our Lord Uriel here.
Yeah.
May Talos guide you.
Talos guide you as well. I'm sorry that we couldn't get Uriel here, I guess. I mean, I never knew him personally beforehand. Maybe he wasn't so bad of a person. Didn't seem like it. Seemed like a kind grandfather, to be honest. Okay, we got a lot of books here. And we are going to have some reading.
This
Hey,
whole
Martin.
business of being heir to the throne will take some getting used to. Please bear with me.
I will, and I'm here for you.
Farewell, my friend.
Farewell. The Emperor calling me friend. That's crazy. Future Emperor. Yeah, we got a lot of books, and we're going to have a reading episode here.
What can I do for you, ma'am?
Hey, Belisarius. Can I rule a temple?
I'd have to say I'm partial to the Great Hall. On those cold nights, nothing warms your bones better than a roaring fire. May Talos guide you.
I do love me a fire. Hey,
I
Kelly.
haven't time to talk right now, I'm afraid, but I'm sure one of the other Blades can help. Try speaking with Belisarius or Caroline.
He takes his eating very serious. Hey, Cyrus,
What can I do for you, ma'am?
tell me about the temple.
Don't worry, we'll keep the Emperor Martin safe here. No enemy has ever taken Cloud Ruler from the Blades.
That's good.
May your sword always strike true.
And first. Alright. Yeah, I love their armor. It's so good. Okay, well, I guess this is gonna be my home now. Remember the Blades? I'm still kind of in shock of everything. The turn my life's taken in the last few days. Since Kavach. Hello. Training, Farron.
Please forgive me, but I'm afraid I haven't got time to talk right now. One of the other blades should be able to assist you. Try Jenna or Stefan.
Yeah, see, that's a little bit more reasonable than the guy who's just eating, not wanting to talk. Now we got some Blades gear here. It is all heavy armor, which is unfortunate because it does look really cool. I do wish they had a Daikatana. Do we take that? It is a lot stronger. It's a two-handed blade. Which we kind of liked being sort of more like a duelist character. Although, as far as two-handed blades go, the Daikatana has a very sort of agile profile, I'd say. Yeah, I got the whole Blades armor set here. You know, I mean, the Claymores in this game seem a lot bulkier. I guess even in real life, big two-handed swords don't seem like super agile weapons, but I've seen like videos and stuff of people using them. And you can move them pretty quickly. They're not as bulky as maybe media likes to portray them. Like in this game, they're pretty slow. All right, and this chamber is so cool. So you see all these swords here. These are the swords of fallen blades. So there's quite a lot of them over the years. And you see up here at the front, there's a spot here. And there are two blades set apart. And I'm pretty sure, if you remember back at the very beginning of the game. Hey, Barragan.
Please forgive me, but I'm afraid I haven't got time to talk right now. One of the other blades should be able to assist you. Try Jenna.
At the beginning of the game, we took the two blades who died with us, with Uriel, we took their blades and we gave them to Boris. Those are their blades. It's just a nice touch that that they do that, because if you don't pick them up, you don't have to. And they don't show up there, I don't think. Which also implies that Boris isn't going to go back for them, which is kind of scummy of him. But here we are in the living quarters in the West Wing.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hey, Captain. And even in here, they're sleeping on the ground. Man, it's rough. I can very Daikatana. I think this is Joffrey's chambers. Captain. I've already talked to you, right? Yeah. And then this is obviously Martin's chambers. As the Emperor, it only is right that he gets the big bed. And I'm just saying, there's
Good evening,
room for
ma'am.
two on that bed. I'm just saying, you know, whatever. Nah, I mean, right now we're just friends. We're in the friend zone. But who knows? Conflict has a way of bringing people together. But now, our bed is actually right there with the candle. That's ours. Alright. So let's go ahead and head on out of here.
Good evening, Mom.
Oh, hey, Jenna.
What can I do for you, Mom?
Tell me about the temple.
Sometimes when it's quiet, I walk the battlements and breathe in the cold mountain air. It's the only peace I allow myself.
You should allow
May your
yourself.
sword always strike true.
You should allow yourself more peace. Although I must say, like, it probably is very peaceful living up here. I can imagine it going one of two ways, right? Like either you feel like you're living in the backwaters, freezing your ass off for nothing, or it's just a really peaceful existence. I guess since you're the Blades, you don't have that sense of being thrown in backwater for it being forgotten. You have a really big sense of importance, probably. All right, so we're gonna head down to Bruma. We've got some things to sell. We are encumbered, so let's get on our horse here, and we're gonna close the gate. No, we're not. Ooh, that's not good. Somebody else will close it, surely. All right, we got a nice view, and hopefully we can get there before... It should be morning, right? Maybe not. I think Solia is kind of liking Bruma. I feel like before her imprisonment, she probably wasn't a fan of it, you know, because it's really cold, and she's from the Niven Basin where it's warm. But I do think the people here that she's met, you know, Ongar, the Blades, the wife of that guy who died, the captain who we helped here, the Mages Guild, the first one she got a recommendation from. I think she likes these people. And the views are nice. The cold mountain air is actually really refreshing. So I think she's grown to really enjoy this place. So I think we're probably going to end up buying a house here, settling down. I do think she'd probably get one on the Niven as well, either Breville or Leowyn. Hello, Garrick. Also, we've got that Mage's Tower there. That's going to be mine eventually, probably. It'll either be mine or Varys's. I do kind of have a mind to give it to Varys. Varnus. Can't even remember my own characters' names. Just because Varnus is mage-like.
Jotrid,
Hey.
you need armor or weapons, new or
Jotrid.
repair. Come to Hammer and Axe.
Yes, I need to barter.
Armor, weapons, I have it all.
We're gonna
Now
haggle
may
here.
I help you?
You like me a lot, so we're gonna go to 62%. And let's see what we got here. We're gonna keep the dagger numbing, I think, because of the enchantment. But we're getting rid of all this other stuff.
A good price. You've made a good bit of gold.
Why didn't I get rid of that warhammer? You can have these boots. I think I end
That's
up...
a good
Do I end
deal.
up selling the Kavach Cuirass?
That seems a fair price.
Yeah, we don't need those shields. I think I do. Which is foolish of me. Or maybe I didn't. I don't know. We got some potions in here. And this episode was actually recorded quite a while ago. And
You drive a hard bargain.
I guess this is a good time to let you guys know about this chapter of Solia. I actually recorded like 9 episodes in this chapter because it... Well, I made an error of judgment about how long some things would take. So I end up actually cutting this chapter into 2 chapters and intersecting it with an Aras chapter. So when you get to Naras, you might hear me talk about things that haven't happened yet in Solia. I don't think I do, but it might have happened. Just let you know, and then, yeah. Which means Varnus is going to be a little bit further down the road than I would like. But we get back to things as normal.
You've made a good bit of gold.
Eventually.
That's a fair deal.
As we sell this crap. And I don't think you have anything for me. Yeah, because I mean, weapon-wise, we're basically
A pleasure to serve.
looking for glass, ebony, or
seeing
daedric to
you.
replace my elven dagger. Or something with a really good enchantment. Okay, so we're back, and we're gonna go ahead and check out this other store here. see if they've got... I actually don't remember what I'm looking for, but we're gonna see if they've got anything, I guess. And
It's my pleasure. Please
it
continue.
is your pleasure. You're right.
May I interest you in some of my fine wares?
God, he's... Oh, we're haggling here. And I think I could hear the game in the microphone.
A fine transaction.
Bad. All right, but we what did we do right there? I don't know. Are we not at the point where I can sell anything to anyone? Is that why I had to come here?
Thank you for your business.
I'm all over the place, guys.
You too.
Recording up to this point, I did yesterday because I couldn't finish the recording here, which obviously this whole...
Good day. I'm Tolgan, herald to Countess Narina Carvain here in Bruma.
Hi, Tolgan.
She requests your company at your earliest convenience.
Okay. The Countess wants to see me. What's this regarding?
Countess Carvain would prefer if you speak to her in person. She also said to present you with this stipend as a taste of things to come.
Oh?
My lady holds court from 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening each day. That would be the best time to see her.
25 gold. Wow. What a stipend.
The Countess is in attendance from 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, and then again from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 each day. If you wish to seek audience with her, please return at that time. You're also welcome to wait anywhere in the Great Hall. Good day.
Good day. Yeah, we'll pay her a visit, even though she's probably the richest person in this town, and she gives me a stipend of like a quarter. And it's like, oh, wow, thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Although, I guess for a lot of people, 25 gold is probably quite a bit, but for an adventurer, it doesn't really go very far, that 25 gold. I do struggle backing up the horses in this game. I'll figure it out eventually. Alright, back up to Cloud Ruler Temple. It looks like it's getting late. I could have sworn I slept until morning before this episode, but I guess I didn't. Oh well. Alright, so we're gonna go up to Cloud Ruler Temple, and we're actually gonna do some reading. We've got a little library here in the temple, and we need a little bit of a break before we go out again. You know, we got to make sure we take some time, relax, recover. We don't want to go at a blistering pace all the time. And she's gonna need it for what's coming. So, be the last moment of rest she has for a little while. God, it looks so good. Just seeing the flames and the light coming off of it and the Cloud Ruler Temple, it's fantastic. Beep, beep. All right, we're good. You stay here, paint horse. All right, so let's find us some books. Hail. We're gonna try and find some books that are mainly dealing with the Daedra.
Do you have a moment? There's something we need to discuss.
Please, speak
I'm
freely.
surprised to see you. The Plain of Oblivion. Have you been to talk to Boris in the Imperial City yet?
No,
what if the Daedra we've seen are only the beginning? I think we should prepare for the worst.
This has been a concern of mine as well.
All right, so we're gonna get all of the histories of the
We are
Empire.
one mind and one
We did
blade.
read a little bit of it already.
The best day shall
The fourth one.
Who
We're gonna get
knows
that.
what tomorrow brings?
Keep your heart true and your eyes open.
And that guy must be Joffrey's son because he sounds just like him. We're gonna get
Hail.
more books, I think. Oh, do I not? Maybe I come back in here. We're gonna start with a brief history of the Empire, though. Get us a better idea of what the Empire is, who ruled it, and things like that. And hopefully I'll be able to read it at around the same pace I read the actual recording here. We'll see. See how I do. I'm gonna have to read a little quickly, so pay attention. Alright, so before the rule of Tiber Septim, all Tamriel was in chaos. The poet Trasses called that period of continuous unrest days and nights of blood and venom. The kings were a petty lot of grasping tyrants who fought Tiber's attempts to bring order to the land, but they were as disorganized as they were dissolute, and the strong hand of Septim brought peace forcibly to Tamriel. The year was Second Era 896. The following year, the Emperor declared the beginning of a new era. Thus began the Third Era, Year Aught. For 38 years, the Emperor Tiber reigned supreme. It was a lawful, pious, and glorious age, when justice was known to one and all, and serf to sovereign, from serf to sovereign. On Tiber's death, it reigned for an entire fortnight, as if the land of Tamriel itself was weeping. The Emperor's grandson, Pelagius, came to the throne. Though his reign was short, he was as strong and resolute as his father had been, and Tamriel could have enjoyed a continuation of the Golden Age. Alas, an unknown enemy of the Septim family hired that accursed organization of cutthroats, the Dark Brotherhood, to kill the Emperor. Yeah, so Tiber Septim creates the Empire, and I don't know what happened to his kids, but his grandson comes to power. And I had always known that the Dark Brotherhood assassinated an emperor. I did not know or didn't remember that it was literally the second emperor who got assassinated by them. Pelagius I, as he knelt at prayer at the Temple of the One in the Imperial City. Pelagius I's reign lasted less than 3 years. Pelagius had no living children, so the crown imperial passed to his first cousin, the daughter of Tiber's brother Agnerith, Kintyra. Former queen of Silvanar, assumed the throne as Kintyra I. Her reign was blessed with prosperity and good harvests, and she herself was an avid patroness of art, music, and dance. Kintyra's son was crowned after her death, the first emperor of Tamriel to use the imperial name Uriel. Uriel I was the great lawmaker of the Septim dynasty and a promoter of independent organizations and guilds. Under his kind but firm rule, the Fighters and Mages Guild increased in prominence throughout Tamriel. His son and successor, Uriel II, reigned for 18 years, from the death of Uriel I in 3rd Era 64 to Pelagius II's accession in 3rd Era 82. Tragically, the rule of Uriel II was cursed with blights, plagues, and insurrections. The tenderness he inherited from his father did not serve Tamriel well, and little justice was done. Pelagius II inherited not only the throne from his father, but the debt from the latter's poor financial and judicial management. Pelagius dismissed all of the Elder Council and allowed only those willing to pay great sums to resume their seats. He encouraged... How fast am I reading compared to how quickly I did it before? God, I was slow. I was probably commenting about things, but I don't know what I would have commented about in this section. I don't feel like I know any. I guess Silvanar, Kintyra, Queen of Silvanar. Silvanar is the capital of Valenwood, which is the land of the Wood Elves, the Bosmer, which is interesting. Similar acts among his vassals, the kings of Tamriel, and by the end of his 17-year reign, Tamriel had returned to prosperity. His critics, however, have suggested that any advisor possessed of wisdom but not of gold had been summarily ousted by Pelagius. This may have led to some of the troubles his son Antiochus faced when he in turn became emperor. Antiochus was certainly one of the more flamboyant members of the usually austere Septim family. He had numerous mistresses and nearly as many wives, and was renowned for the grandeur of his dress and of his high good humor. Unfortunately, his reign was rife with civil war, surpassing even that of his grandfather Uriel II. The War of the Isle in 3rd Era 110, 12 years after Antiochus assumed the throne, nearly took the province of Somerset Isle away from Tamriel, which is where the High Elves are from. The united alliance of the kings of Somerset and Antiochus only managed to defeat King Orgum of the island kingdom of Piondinia due to a freak storm. Legend credits the Sigic Order of the Isle of Artaeum with the sorcery behind the tempest. The story of Kintyra II, heiress to her father Antiochus' throne, is certainly one of the saddest tales in imperial history. Her cousin Uriel, son of Queen Potima of Solitude, accused Kintyra of being a bastard, alluding to the infamous decadence of the imperial city during her. And Antiochus is one of my favorite names. It's a Greek name, and Antiochus the Great was a Hellenistic king of the Seleucid Empire, and I'm pretty sure that is where, well, I know that's where the name of the city Antioch comes from the name Antiochus. A little bit of history lesson there for you, real history. But yeah, and the Sigil Order is important. We'll hear more about them in Skyrim, so don't forget about them. And the interesting Order of Mages. They're also in ESO. Her father's reign. When this accusation failed to stop her coronation, Uriel bought the support of several disgruntled kings of High Rock, Skyrim, and Morrowind, and with Queen Potima's assistance, he coordinated 3 attacks on the Septim Empire. The first attack occurred in the Iliac Bay region, which separates High Rock and Hammerfell. Kintyra's entourage was massacred and the Empress taken captive. For 2 years, Kintyra II languished in an imperial prison believed to be somewhere in Glimpoint or Glenmorel, before she was slain in her cell under mysterious circumstances. The second attack was a series of imperial garrisons along the coastal Morrowind Islands. The Empress's consort, Content Arenix, fell defending the forts. The third and final attack was the siege of the imperial city itself, occurring after the Elder Council had split up the army to attack western High Rock and eastern Morrowind. The weakened government had little defense against Uriel's determined aggression and capitulated after only a fortnight of resistance. Uriel took the throne that same evening and proclaimed himself Uriel III, Emperor of Tamriel. The year was Third Era 121. Thus began the War of the Red Diamond, described in Volume 2. Yeah. Poor Kintyra. She didn't deserve it. But I mean, this is what happens when you have a big family who's all ambitious and have legitimate claims to the throne. I don't know what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm showing you guys the different provinces. So Morrowind's over there in the east. You got Skyrim in the north, Black Marsh underneath Morrowind, Elsewhere in Valenwood in the south, and Hammerfell and High Rock in the northwest, rather. And Valenwood's where the Bosmer are from, Elsewhere is where the Khajiit are from, and High Rock's where the Redguards, or Hammerfell's where the Redguards, High Rock's Bretons, Skyrim Nords, Morrowind, Dark Elves, and Black Marsh Argonians. And then way off the map to the southwest is Somerset Isles, where the High Elves or Altmer are from. Yeah, a little geography for you guys. And we'll see more of Skyrim and Morrowind when we play those games with those provinces legitimately look like. Yeah, and High Rock's further above Hammerfell. Yep. Okay, Heliax, how long are you going to talk about this? Come on. We don't got all day. People have things to do. Yeah, I already talked about Somerset. Man, I am slow. Let's get to Volume 2. I want to hear about the War of the Red Diamond. There we go. All right, come on. Yes, that one. Come on, let's go. Jeez. Volume 1 of this series described in brief the lives of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty, beginning with the glorious Tiber Septim and ending with his great-great-great-great-grandniece, Kintyra II. Kintyra's murder in Glenpoint while in captivity is considered by some to be the end of the pure strain of Septim blood in the imperial family. Certainly, it marks the end of something significant. Uriel III not only proclaimed himself Emperor of Tamriel, but also Uriel Septim III, taking the eminent surname as a title. In truth, his surname was Mantiarco, from his father's line. In time, Uriel III was deposed and his crimes reviled, but the tradition of taking the name Septim as a title for the Emperor of Tamriel did not die with him. For 6 years, the War of the Red Diamond, which takes its name from the Septim family's famous badge, tore the Empire apart. The combatants were the 3 surviving children of Pelagius II, Potama, Sepphoris, and Magnus, and their various offspring. Potama, of course, supported her son, Uriel III, and had the combined support of all of Skyrim and Northern Morrowind. Yeah, and we learn more about Potama in Skyrim as well, because her capital was the capital of Skyrim, Solitude. So yeah, we'll learn more about her. Sepphoris we don't. Magnus is an interesting name. With the efforts of Sepphoris and Magnus, however, the province of High Rock turned coat. The provinces of Hammerfell, Somerset Isles, Valenwood, Elsewhere, and Black Marsh were divided in their loyalty, but most kings supported Sepphoris and Magnus. In 3rd Era 127, Uriel III was captured at the Battle of Ichadag in Hammerfell. En route to his trial in the Imperial City, a mob overtook his prisoner's carriage and burned him alive within it. Jeez. His captor and uncle continued on to the Imperial City, and by common acclaim was proclaimed Sepphoris I, Emperor of Tamriel. Sepphoris' reign was marked by nothing but war. By all accounts, he was a kind and intelligent man, but what Tamriel needed was a great warrior, and he, fortunately, was that. It took an additional 10 years of constant warfare for him to defeat his sister Potama, and the so-called Wolf Queen of Solitude, who died in the siege of her city-state in the year 137. Sepphoris survived his sister by only 3 years. He never had time during the war years to marry, so it was his brother, the 4th child of Pelagius II, who assumed the throne. The Emperor Magnus was already elderly when he took up the imperial diadem, and the business of punishing the traitorous kings of the War of the Red Diamond drained much of his remaining strength. Yeah, so Pelagius II had 4 kids, right? Antiochus, Potama, Sepphoris, and then Magnus. Obviously, Antiochus' daughter was killed, and then Potama had a son, Uriel II, who was killed. Yep. Legend accuses Magnus' son and heir, Pelagius III, of patricide, but that seems highly unlikely, for no other reason than Pelagius was king of Solitude following the death of Potama, and seldom visited the imperial city. Pelagius III, sometimes called Pelagius the Mad, was proclaimed emperor in the 145th year of the 3rd Era. Almost from the start, his eccentricities of behavior were noted at court. He embarrassed dignitaries, offended his vassal kings, and on one occasion marked the end of an imperial grand ball by attempting to hang himself. His long-suffering wife was finally awarded the regency of Tamriel, and Pelagius III was sent to a series of healing institutions and asylums until his death in the 3rd Era 153 at the age of 34. The Empress Regent of Tamriel was proclaimed Empress Kataraya I upon the death of her husband. Some, who do not mark the end of the Septim bloodline with the death of Kintyra II, consider the ascendancy of this dark elf woman the true mark of its decline. Her defenders, on the other hand, assert that though Kataraya was not descended from Tiber, the son she had with Pelagius was, so the imperial chain did continue, despite racist assertions to the contrary assertions. Kataraya's 46-year reign was one of the most celebrated in Tamriel's history. Uncomfortable in the imperial city, Kataraya is awesome. She traveled extensively throughout the empire, such as no emperor had ever had since Tiber's day. She repaired much of the damage that previous emperors' broken alliances and bungled diplomacy created. The people of Tamriel came to love their empress far more than the nobility did. Kataraya's death in a minor skirmish in Black Marsh is a favorite subject to conspiracy-minded historians. The sage Montalius's discovery, for instance, of a disenfranchised branch of the Septim family and their involvement with the skirmish was a revelation indeed. When Cassander assumed the throne upon the death of his mother, he was already middle-aged. Only half-elven, he aged like a Breton. In fact, he had left the rule of Wayrest to his half-brother Uriel due to poor health. Nevertheless, as the only true blood relation of Pelagius and thus Tiber, he was pressed into accepting the throne. To no one's surprise, the Emperor Cassandra's reign did not last long. In 2 years, he joined his predecessor in eternal slumber. Uriel Lariat, Cassandra's half-brother and the child of Catariah I and her imperial consort Galavir Lariat, after the death of Pelagius III, left the kingdom of Wayrest to reign as Uriel IV. Legally, Uriel IV was a septim. Cassandra had adopted him into the royal family when he had become king of Wayrest. Nevertheless, to the council and the people of Tamriel, he was a bastard child of Catariah. Uriel did not possess the... Yep, and I guess that's really when the bloodline of the Septims ends. He did not possess the dynamism of his mother, and his long 43-year reign was a hotbed of sedition. Uriel IV's story is told in the 3rd volume. Okay. Yep, so it's no longer Septim blood, really. The 1st volume of this series told in brief the story of the succession of the first 8 emperors of the Septim dynasty from Tiber to Kintyre II. The 2nd volume described the War of the Red Diamonds and the 6 emperors that followed its aftermath, from Uriel III to Cassandra I. At the end of that volume, it was described how the Emperor Cassandra's half-brother Uriel IV assumed the throne to the Empire of Tamriel. It will be recalled that Uriel IV was not a septim by birth. His mother, though she reigned as empress for many years, was a dark elf married to a true septim emperor, Pelagius III. Uriel's father was actually Kintyre's consort after Pelagius' death, a Breton nobleman named Galavir Lariat. Before taking the throne of the empire, Cassandra I had ruled the kingdom of Wayrest, but poor health had forced him to retire. Cassandra had no children, so he legally adopted his half-brother Uriel and abdicated the kingdom. 7 years later, Cassandra inherited the empire at the death of his mother. 3 years after that, Uriel once again found himself the recipient of Cassandra's inheritance. It's interesting. Adopting... just adoption. We'll get to it later. Uriel IV's reign was a long and difficult one. Despite being a legally adopted member of the Septim family, and despite the Lariat family's high position, indeed, they were distant cousins of the Septims, few of the Elder Council could be persuaded to accept him fully as a blood descendant of Tiber. The council had assumed much responsibility during Catariah's long reign and Cassandra's short one, and a strong-willed alien monarch like Uriel IV found it impossible to command their unswerving fealty. Time and again, the council and the emperor were at odds, and time and again the council won the battles. Since the days of Pelagius II, the Elder Council had consisted of the wealthiest men and women in the empire, and the power they wielded was conclusive. The council's last victory over Uriel IV was posthumous. Andorak, Uriel IV's son, was disinherited by vote of the council, and a cousin more closely related to the original Septim line was proclaimed Sepphoris II in 3rd Era 247. For the first 9 years of Sepphoris' reign, those loyal to Andorak battled the imperial forces. In an act that the sage Eretine called Tiber Septim's heart beating no more, the council granted Andorak the High Rock Kingdom of Shornhelm to end the war, and Andorak's descendants still rule there. By and large, Sepphoris II had foes that demanded more of his attention than... But yeah, I guess this is how, in a way, the Empire here differs from Andorak. From out of a Cimmerian nightmare, in the words of Eretene, a man who called himself the Cameron Usurper led an army of Daedra and undead warriors on a rampage through Valenwood, conquering kingdom after kingdom. Few could resist his onslaughts, and as month turned to bloody month in the year 3rd Era 249, even fewer tried. Sepphoris II sent more and more mercenaries into Hammerfell to stop the usurper's northward march, but they were bribed or slaughtered and raised as undead. The story of the Cameron Usurper deserves a book of its own. It is recommended that the reader find Pollux Elthries, The Fall of the Usurper, for more detail. In short, however, the destruction of the forces of the usurper had little to do with the efforts of the emperor. The result was a great regional victory and an increase in hostility toward the seemingly ineffectuous empire. Uriel V, Sepphoris' son and successor, swiveled opinion back toward the latent power of the empire. turning the attention of Tamriel away from the internal strife. Uriel V embarked on a series of invasions beginning almost from the moment he took the throne in the Third Era 268. Uriel V conquered Roskria in 271, Kethernaqui in 276, Inslia in 279, and Ezranit in 284. In the Third Era 288, he embarked on his most ambitious enterprise, the invasion of the continent kingdom of Akavir. This ultimately proved a failure for him. There's so much I wanted to talk about, but I don't have time. I'm reading too quickly now. Slow down, Heliax. Of course, now it's going to take forever. For 2 years later, Uriel V was killed in Akavir on the battlefield of Ionith. Nevertheless, Uriel V holds a reputation second only to Tiber as one of the great warrior emperors of Tamriel. The last 4 emperors, beginning with Uriel V's infant son, are described in the 4th volume. Yeah, so the Empire here takes a lot of influence from the Roman Empire. The first book of this series described in brief the first 8 emperors of the Septim Dynasty beginning with Tiber. The second describes the War of the Red Diamond and the 6 emperors. The third describes the troubles of the next 3 emperors and the frustrated Uriel IV and the ineffectual Sepphoris and the heroic Uriel V. On Uriel V's death across the sea in distant hostile Akavir, Uriel VI was but 5 years old. In fact, Uriel VI was born only shortly before his father left for Akavir. Uriel V's only other progeny, by a morganatic alliance, were the twins Morahatha and Eliswa, I don't know, who had been born a month after Uriel V left. Uriel VI was crowned in the 290th year of the Third Era. The imperial consort Thonica, as the boy's mother, was given a restricted regency until Uriel VI reached his majority. The Elder Council retained the real power, as they had ever since the days of Catariah I. The Council so enjoyed its old unlimited and unrestricted freedom to promulgate laws and generate profits that Uriel VI was not given full license to rule until 307, when he was... Come on. There we go. He was already 22 years old. He had been slowly assuming positions of responsibility for years. Both the council and his mother, who enjoyed even her limited regency, were loath to hand over the reins. By the time he came to the throne, the mechanisms of government gave him little power except for that of the imperial veto. This power, however, he regularly and vigorously exercised. By 313, Uriel VI could boast with conviction that he truly did rule Tamriel. He utilized defunct spy networks and guard units to bully and coerce the difficult members of the Imperial or the Elder Council. His half-sister, Murahatha, was, not surprisingly, his staunchest ally, especially after her marriage to Baron Ulf Gerson of Winterhold. Sorry about that. Brought her considerable wealth and influence. As the sage Ugarij said, Uriel V conquered Ursinwit, but Uriel VI conquered the Elder Council. When he fell off a horse and could not be resuscitated by the finest imperial healers, his beloved sister Muriatha took up the imperial tiara. At 25 years of age, she had been described, admittedly self-servingly, by diplomats as the most beautiful creature in all of Tamriel. She was certainly well-learned, vivacious, athletic, and a well-practiced politician. She brought the Archmagister of Skyrim to the Imperial City and created the second Imperial Battle Mage since the days of Tiber Septim. Murihatha finished the job her brother had begun and made the Imperial Province a true government under the Empress and later the Emperor. Outside the Imperial Province, however, the Empire had been slowly disintegrating. Open revolutions and civil wars had raged unchallenged since the days of her grandfather Sepphoris II. Carefully coordinating her counterattacks, Murihatha slowly claimed back her rebellious vassals, always avoiding overextending herself. Though Murihatha's military campaigns were remarkably successful, her deliberate pace often frustrated the council. One councilman, an Argonian who took the Colovian name of Thorocles Ramus, furious at her refusal to send troops to his troubled Black Marsh, is commonly believed to have hired the assassins who claimed her life in the Third Era 339. Ramus was summarily tried and executed, though he protested his innocence to the last. Murahatha had no surviving children, and Elois had died of a fever 4 years before. Her 25-year-old son Pelagius was thus crowned Pelagius IV. Pelagius IV continued his aunt's work, slowly bringing back under his wing the radical and refractory kingdoms, duchies, and baronies of the empire. He exercised Murahatha's poise and circumspect pace in his endeavors, but alas, he did not attain her success. The kingdoms have been free of constraint for so long? Yeah. So each province has like multiple kingdoms within it, which is something I feel like the game doesn't always represent. For so long that even a benign imperial presence was considered odious. Nevertheless, when Pelagius died after a notably stable and prosperous 29-year reign, Tamriel was closer to unity than it had been since the days of Uriel I. Our current emperor, His Awesome and Terrible Majesty Uriel the Septim VII, son of Pelagius IV, had the diligence of his great aunt Murahatha, the political skill of his great uncle Uriel VI, and the military prowess of his great granduncle Uriel V. For 21 years, he reigned and brought justice and order to Tamriel. In 389, however, his imperial battle mage Jagar Tharn betrayed him. Uriel VII was imprisoned in a dimension of Tharn's creation, and Tharn used his sorcery of illusion to assume the emperor's aspect. The next 10 years, Tharn abused imperial privilege but did not continue Uriel VII's scheduled reconquest. It is not yet entirely known what Tharn's goal and personal accomplishments were during the 10 years he masqueraded as his liege lord. In 399, an enigmatic champion defeated the battle mage in the dungeons of the Imperial Palace and freed Uriel VII from his other dimensional jail. Since his emancipation, Uriel Septim VII has worked diligently to renew the battles that would reunite Tamriel. Tharn's interference broke the momentum, it is true, but... yeah, this is the part we've already read before, because it had to do with Tharn. But the years since then have proven that there is hope of the Golden Age of Tiber Septim's rule, glorifying Tamriel once again. Alright. Yeah, so the Empire sort of has a lot of similarities on the surface to the Roman Empire, but its obsession with like the blood of Tiber Septim is very different than the Romans. The Romans really didn't care about your bloodline that much. I mean, if you were adopted into the family, you were basically part of the family. What else was I going to say? Yeah, each province has their own kings,
to everything that has happened.
Multiple kingdoms within it, and all that stuff. I've already forgot all the other points I wanted to make. Damn it. Oh well. We're gonna try and find some more books, I think? I'm pretty sure we read... oh, we're putting these books away. Yeah, just stuff them in this cabinet here. No problem.
Good evening, ma'am.
Okay, so we want to find some books on the Daedra. Let's see. Artaeum, so that's going to be the Sigic Order. Eastern Provinces, that could be good. Dwemer History is really cool. There's no Dwemer ruins or anything in Cyrodiil, so we're not going to learn much about the Dwemer in this playthrough, but they're one of my favorites. I love them so much. The Aliens we learn about in this game. There's the 9 Divines, so we could read that one. Learn about them. Akavir. Well, a lot of people I know... oh, there's biographies of Baron Zaya, who's an important figure. Ionith, that's where the one emperor died, Uriel V. Okay. Yeah, I think we're just gonna read the 9... oh, there's more books over here, damn it. the Remanada. More Baron Zaya books. A lot of them.
Ma'am.
The Amulet of Kings would be good. Same with the Trial of St. Alicia. Book of the Daedra. That's... I guess I'm just looking at them right now. Gods and Worship. On Morrowind, that would be fun. They have a lot of the same books here, which is the Waters of Oblivion. Okay, what do we pick? The Amulet of Kings. It's a quick one. Book of the Daedra. Another quick one. Trials of St. Alicia. Another quick one. What did I just pick up? I looked away for just a moment. Varieties of Daedra. Pick that one up. Do I read all of these? My goodness. Hey, Martin. What are you reading? It'd be nice if you read to me. Imagine Sean Bean reading all this to you guys. That would be a treat. I mean, I'm pretty good, but I don't think I'm as good as Sean Bean. Alright. What do we got? Hello? LAX? There we go. Alright, so I don't know if we read them all. I feel like we must, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to start with the Amulet of Kings here. The Amulet of Kings by Winegris Monhana. In the first years of the First Era, a powerful race of elves called the Aeliads, or the Heartland High Elves, ruled Central Tamriel with an iron hand. The high and haughty Aeliads relied on their patrons, the treacherous Daedra lords, to provide armies of Daedra and dead spirits. With these fearless magical armies, the Aeliads preyed without mercy upon the young races of men, slaughtering or enslaving them at their whim. On behalf of the suffering human races, Saint Alessia, the first in the line of Cyrodiils, sought the aid of Akatosh, the dragon god of time, and ruler of the noble Aedra. Akatosh, looking with pity upon the plight of men, drew precious blood from his own heart, and blessed Saint Alessia with the blood of dragons, and made a covenant that so long as Alessia's generations were true to the dragon blood, Akatosh would endeavor to seal tight the gates of Oblivion and to deny the armies of Daedra and undead to their enemies, the Daedra-loving Aeliads. In token of this covenant, Akatosh gave to Alessia and her descendants the Amulet of Kings and the eternal dragon fires of the Imperial City. Thus does Alessia become the first gem in the Cyrodiilic Amulet of Kings. The gem is the red diamond in the middle. Yeah, so Alessia, I think, is like the ancestor of the Septums. Or it might just be like related to Dragonborn blood, which we'll learn more about the Dragonborn in Skyrim. I don't know if they're actually related. The amulet. This is the symbol of the Empire and later taken as the symbol of the Septum line. It is surrounded by 8 other gems, one for each of the divines. So long as the Empire shall maintain its worship of Akatosh and his kin, and so long as Alessia's heirs shall bear the Amulet of Kings, Akatosh and his divine kin maintain a strong barrier between Tamriel and Oblivion, so that mortal man need never again fear the devastating summoned hosts of the Daedra Lords. But if the Empire should slacken in its dedication to the 9 divines, or if the blood of Alessia's heirs should fail, then shall the barriers between Tamriel and the Daedric realms fall, and Daedra worshippers might summon lesser Daedra and undead spirits to trouble the races of men. Yeah. I mean, by this account, the Septums must be related to Alessia in some manner, but I'm not entirely sure if the lore matches reality. Because even now, like, is Martin Septum actually related to Tiber Septum? I mean, I guess yes, but like at some point his ancestor was like a super distant relative cousin of Septum's, of Tiber. So like, it's a little sketchy. But the dragon blood is something that can, I think, manifest outside of the Septum blood, and I think as long as it's somebody with dragon blood, it's okay. I don't really know. I don't know what I'm talking about right here. Sure, they didn't take me that long to read this. Oh, man. I mean, this is important stuff, right? This is why we need Martin to get the amulet back. So we're going to read more about Saint Alessia now. From the Trials of Saint Alessia. Akatosh made a covenant with Alessia in those days so long ago. He gathered the tangled skeins of Oblivion and knit them fast with the bloody sinews of his heart, and gave them to Alessia, saying, "This shall be my token to you, that so long as your blood and oath hold true, yet so shall my blood and oath be true to you. This token shall be the Amulet of Kings, and the covenant shall be made between us, for I am the king of spirits, and you are the queen of mortals. As you shall stand witness for all mortal flesh, so shall I stand witness for all immortal spirits. And Nakatos drew his breast a burning handful of his heart's blood, and he gave it into Alessia's hand, saying, This shall also be a token to you of our joined blood and pledged faith. So long as you and your descendants shall wear the amulet of kings, then shall this dragonfire burn, an eternal flame, as a sign to all men and gods of our faithfulness. So long as the dragonfire shall burn to you and to all generations, I swear that my heart's blood shall hold fast the gates of Oblivion. Akatasha's doing a lot of talking here. Aja don't usually talk this much. He must have really liked Alessia. So long as the blood of the dragon runs strong in her rulers, see, that's the key. The glory of the Empire shall extend in unbroken years. But should the dragonfires fail, and should no heir of our joined blood wear the amulet of kings, then shall the Empire descend into the darkness, and the demon lords of misrule shall govern the land. Yeah, see, the blood of the dragon doesn't necessarily mean it has to be Alessia's blood, as long as it's the blood of the dragon, which hers is, but... Alright, let's read the Book of the Daedra. These are excerpts from this lengthy tome describing the nature of each of the Daedra Lords, so this is important for Varnus's playthrough, understanding it. You have Azura, whose sphere is dusk and dawn, the magic in between realms of twilight known as Moonshadow, Mother of the Rose, and Queen of the Night Sky. You have Boethia, whose sphere is deceit and conspiracy, and the secret plots of murder, assassination, treason, and unlawful overthrow of authority. You have Clavicus Vile, whose sphere is the granting of power and wishes through ritual invocations and pact. You have Hermaeus Mora, whose sphere is scrying of the tides of fate of the past and future as read in the stars and heavens, and in whose dominion are the treasures of knowledge and memory. You have Hircine, whose sphere is the hunt, the sport of Daedra, the great game, the chase, known as the huntsman and the father of man-beasts. Azura is my favorite, mainly because of Marwyn. But she's really cool otherwise, too. Probably the most benevolent of the Daedra, too. There are a couple that are, like, actually good. But most of them are not. Boethia is interesting, because you would think she'd have a connection to Dark Brotherhood, but no. Malakath, whose sphere is the patronage of the spurned and ostracized, the keeper of the sworn oath and the bloody curse. Mehrunes Dagon, whose sphere is destruction, change, revolution, energy, and ambition. Mephala, whose sphere is obscure to mortals, known by the names Web Spinner and Spider, whose only constant theme seems to be interference in the affairs of mortals for her amusement. Meridia, whose sphere is obscure to mortals, who is associated with the energies of living things. She's a pretty good one too. Molag Bal, whose sphere is the domination and enslavement of mortals, whose desire is to harvest the souls of mortals and to bring mortals' souls within his sway by spreading seeds of strife and discord in the mortal realms. He's the one who creates vampires, interestingly. You have Namira, whose sphere is the ancient darkness, known as the Spirit Daedra, ruler of sundry dark and shadowy spirits, associated with spiders, insects, slugs, and other repulsive creatures which inspire mortals with an instinctive revulsion. Yeah, she's probably my least favorite. She's kind of nasty. The quest in Skyrim you have to do for her is pretty gross. Yeah, but out of these, Meridia's really cool. Malakath is also the patron of the orcs. Like, he's the god that the orcs often worship. You have Nocturnal, whose sphere is the night and darkness, who is known as the Night Mistress. Periite, whose sphere is the ordering of the lowest orders of Oblivion, known as the Taskmaster. Sanguine, whose sphere is hedonistic revelry and debauchery and passionate indulgence of darker natures. Sheogorath, whose sphere is madness, and whose motives are unknowable. Vernima, whose sphere is the realm of dreams and nightmares, and whose realm issues forth evil omens. Especially marked for special interest under the heading Malakath, you find a reference to Scourge, blessed by Malakath and dedicated to the use of mortals in short. The reference suggests that any Daedra attempting to invoke the weapon's power will be expelled into the void streams of Oblivion. Of the legendary artifacts of the Daedra, many are well known, like Azura's Star and Sheogorath's Wabajak. Others are less known. Yeah, we've got Azura's Star, so that's good. And Wabajack are less well known, like Scourge, Makan's Hammer, Bane of Daedra. Yet though Malakath blessed Scourge to be potent against his Daedra kin, he thought not that it should fall into Daedric hands, then to serve as a tool for private war among Caitiff and Forsaken. Thus did Malakath curse the device such that, should any dark kin seek to invoke its powers, that a void should open and swallow that Daedra and purge him into Oblivion void streams. From thence to pathfind back to the realm and unreal worlds in the full order of time. Yeah, and that's probably going to be needing a whole nother book, what that means. Alright, we got one more, right? Varieties of Daedra. Oh, we got 10 Commands, 9 Divines, too. Damn, I read a lot. We're going to go to the Varieties of Daedra first. This is a long book. There's little chance of ever understanding the various orders of Daedra and their relationships to the Daedra lords and their dominions. Of the varieties of Daedra that appear in our world, and the varieties of their relationships to their fellows and their Daedra patrons, there is no end. In one place in time, they are seen to be this. In another place in time, they are seen to be the opposite. And in another place in time, they are seen to be both this and that, in completely contradictory terms. What Daedra serves this prince? What Daedra gives orders, and what Daedra serves, and in what hierarchy, and under what circumstances? What Daedra exist in fellowship with one another, and what Daedra have eternal enmity to one another, and what Daedra are solitary or social, and by turn solitary or social. There are no limits to the varieties of behaviors that may be observed. In one place they may be this, and in another place they may be that. And all rules describing them are always found to be contradictory and an exception to another. Further, from whom may we seek answers to our questions about these orders? So the Daedric princes are like the gods of the Daedra, and what this is talking about is their serpents, basically the creatures who've been fighting in the Oblivion Gates. From mortals who know little but what they may observe of another world, from the gods who speak in riddles, of enigmas wrapped in mysteries, and who keep things from us, the better to preserve their dominion over us, from the Daedra themselves, who are never the models of straightforwardness or truth-telling, but rather are famous for misstatements and obfuscations. And even were the Daedra to speak the truth, how can we know if they know themselves, or that there is any truth about them that is to be known? Or are all arrangements among the Daedra protean and ever subject to change? In short, what is to be known is little, and what is to be trusted is nothing. These things being said, I shall venture to relate what I have observed and heard of the relationships of the servants of Lord Dagon in my brief service to the Tilvani wizard Diveth Fear. Remember that name. When I sought him out and offered to bring peace to the victims of the corpus in his sanitarium. Remember that too. Once the prophecies of the Incarnate had been fulfilled, and Dagoth had been destroyed, and the Blight had been banished from the island of Ardenfell forever. Diveth Fear told me that he, by choice, trafficked only with 2 Daedra powers, Mehrunes Dagon and Azura. Interesting that he trafficked with Dagon. But I guess Dagon likes to interfere a lot. Just tried to drink my water, but the cap was on. Azura, he said, knew and understood all things, and declined to speak of these things, or only speak in riddles. Dagon, on the other hand, out of pride, fixity of purpose, and a predictable lack of subtlety in thought, knew nothing and understood nothing, and was inclined to speak freely and without falsehood. Diveth Fear said that Dagon's chief servants, the Dremora, were like him in pride, fixed purpose, and lack of subtlety, with the addition of the peculiar traits of honor and loyalty, both within their class and within their relationship to Lord Dagon. And Fear said that the Dremora were ordered into clans and castes, and these clans and castes were well defined. Individual Dremora might rise or fall in ranks, or move back and forth among clans, but only when regulated by complex oaths, and only at the will and pleasure of their Lord Dagon. The Dremora refer to themselves as the kin, the people, contrasting themselves to other Daedra, whom they consider unthinking animals. The term Kinez refers to a member of the Jamora race, he of the kin. The least of the kin castes are the churls, the undistinguished rabble of the lowest ranks of Jamora. Churls are obsequious to... Yeah, so the Jamora are like the humanoid-based Daedra that we fight in the gates. Superiors, but ferociously cruel to humans and other Daedra. Next in rank are the caitiffs, creatures of uncalculating zeal, energy without discrimination. Caitiffs are used as irregulars in the faction wars of the Daedra, as berserkers and shock troops, undisciplined and unreliable, but eager and willing. The highest of the regular rank and file of the Jamora troops are the Kinvals, warrior knights, who have distinguished themselves in battle and shown the deliberate steadiness of potential war leaders. Above the rank and file warriors of the Churl, Caitiff, and Kinval castes are the officer castes. The Kinreeve is a clan sheriff or clan officer. Kinreeves are typically associated either with a clan fighting unit or an administrative office in the order of battle. The Kin Marcher is the Lord and High Officer of the Daedric Citadel Outpost or Gate. A Kin Marcher's command is usually associated both with a unit and with a fief, a location or territory for which he is responsible. Above the Kin Marcher is the Marquinaz, or Grand Duke. A Marquinaz is a Lord of Lords. Which I think we're fighting mostly this officer class at the moment. The Kinreeve, Kin Marchers, and I don't know if we fought any Marquinaz yet. A member of the Markin, Mehrunes Dagon's Council of Lords. The highest rank of Jamora is the Valkanaz, or Prince. The Warrior Duke is a member of Velkin, Mehrunes Dagon's personal guard. The Valkanaz are rarely encountered on Tamriel. Normally, they remain by Mehrunes Dagon's side, or serve as commanders of the operations of particular importance or interest to Dagon. Other varieties of Daedra I encountered while I served Davithfears or Corpsarium, Ogrims and Golden Saints, Daedroths and Winged Twilights, Scamps and Clanfear. There's much that might be said, but little that is helpful or reliable. I did note, however, that when Davithfear sought a Daedra of a character like unto the Jamora, but a greater power and greater inclination for independence and initiative, or solely as a master, he summoned a Chevalier, who are like the Jamora in personality and temperament, except that they hate subordination and are liable to disloyalty and betrayal, and when they feel they have not been treated with the proper deference and respect. The feral beast-like Daedra, like the Clanfear and the Daedroth, appear in the service of many different Daedric powers and may represent common creatures existing in the wild, like wild animals in the wilderness of Oblivion, probably. Yeah. We don't fight any Golden Saints or Winged Twilights in this game, I don't think. Winged Twilights are the servants of Azura. Can't remember who the Golden Saints serve. I think we do see some of those in this game, but I think it's an expansion. I think. I don't know if we fight any Ogrims, actually, now that I think about it either. Other savage, semi-intelligent creatures like Scamps and Spider Daedra may also be found in the realms of various Daedra's lords. The case of the elemental Atronachs, on the other hand, is less certain. Flame and Frost Atronachs, for example, appear to be highly intelligent, but not all varieties of elemental Atronachs seem to be social or to have the power of speech. Davithfear preferred not to summon or deal with these creatures, had little experience with them, and showed no inclination to speculate upon their nature. So I learned little about them during my time at Tel Fear, which is his wizard tower. Okay. Do I read the last book? It doesn't look like I do. It looks like I'm done. Okay. Well, guys, I think I'm going to end the episode here. In the next episode, we'll go visit the Count of Bruma. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later.